All right, Metaverse and DAOverse, welcome to my garden. This is Haus Party Live, first episode of season 2 with pi0nṟrpat or Patrick from Superfluid. How you doing, man?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm all right. Been better. Third Red Bull of the day. Keep it going. What up? I'm excited about your product or project or whatever you call it. Product kind of sounds, but yeah, your revolution actually.
I'm excited too to have pi0nṟrpat on. He's also a member over at Raid Guild, and Superfluid is just so cool, and I'm really excited that DAOhaus is doing something with it. It's gonna open up so many possibilities. Whenever I show it to someone, and it's like the initial use case is like, oh, we can start making payments, but then they're like, whoa, this opens up so much. So it'll be cool to talk about. We need So we used to say, welcome back party people, but Felipe,
welcome back party people.
Well, you got your own catchphrase.
Well, I didn't even know what I said. I'm going to check the recording later and I'll try to be consistent, but I'll probably fail and that should be okay. But welcome back party people. It's been a while. It's been a little break. We tried. We went through a couple of technical trial episodes and we finally got things working now. I just have to learn how to distribute POAPs, but that's for tomorrow morning. Pat, we're all really excited you're here. Then you also wanna say the source of your excitements as well. And I think your hair looks great, by the way. Don't. You're muted, friend.
Oh, sorry. What's the source of my excitement? I don't have one.
With Superfluid.
Superfluid. Oh, right.
Oh, I mean, I'm not saying for you to say Satan. I'm just being more contextual.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, I don't know.
I know mine.
It's kind of it's the same problem as every other source of excitement, right? There's just too many. There's too many damn use cases. So yeah, I don't know. Let's start somewhere though, I guess. I really like the payroll thing in general, like DAOs being able to stream funds to their members. I think that's super cool. I think DAOs streaming funds to other DAOs for the same reasons is also super cool.
Way to spoil the hook, man. We haven't told anybody that DAOs could do that yet. Damn it. No. Yes, but that's exciting because now DAOs can actually stream value to each other and to their collaborators, and if they sort of change the yet, but it's literally an entire new dimension to value, right? That's literally what we're talking about. It's the dimension of time added to
fourth dimension. Yeah, we're going into the fourth dimension of payments. Yeah.
Fourth dimensional money. Yeah. It's like and
it is
attention. Though. It's and put your money where your intentions are. Your attention. It's your attention's gonna change. Over time, throughout the month, throughout the year. Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually shilling you on chats for people so they will watch, especially in this case to Joel from Ceramics, who's also working with value streams, and I think you should meet. So I'm just saying this openly to the whole universe.
Yeah, I know Joel. Joel's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a good friend.
So a quick update from us on the DAOhaus side. So we I guess it was in ETH Denver actually that Santiago did as his hack. He went after the Superfluid bounty and the DAOhaus bounty, which is what hackers should do at hackathons. I think it stack those bounties, and he built a Superfluid minion. So basically, what we've just kind of been jamming over on the last 5 minutes is this idea of DAOs being able to stream some funds from one DAO to another DAO, or DAO to an individual, or who knows what else, a DAO to a farm or something like that. So we continued working on that after that hackathon, and right now it's in its kind of like final review phase. So it may come out tomorrow, even this new boost. So it'll be fun to see how people start experimenting with it. I know that even Uberhaus, like right off the bat, wants to start using it to make some engagements with Raid Guild to do some work, and but also there's a couple other places where it's like right off the bat, it's like, oh, like a lot of our DAOs use a group called like the Paladins or the Ops team, which are kind of the cat herders and the people pushing the buttons and paying the gas and things like that, and so they usually will get some type of reimbursement once a quarter or something like that. So this is like another way to just be like, cool, let's just stream this team some money, like from Metacartel or something. Yeah, and so that's, besides that, we've also been like working on a bunch of other boosts. We've got some stuff going with Gnosis Safe, which is going to be cool. Some stuff with NFTs and like NFT collector versus creators versus curators, all happening in the DAO space. The Mintgate boost came out last week, which is kind of like maybe Patreon for a DAO, like gated material for DAO members. Lots of exciting things, and besides that, we're just like getting the Minion actually smoothed over the interface for that, and doing just a lot of fun things. A lot of new devs coming into the space. We had an open dev call this week. That was cool, having some people like just throw out their ideas and things they're working on, how they're using the platform and using our factories and our subgraphs. And yeah, so that's kind of the DAOhaus update. You got anything else, Van? Yeah,
No,
kind of covered it all.
nothing's too alpha, I think.
It's
too much
really
alpha?
fun.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's a little alphy, but the thing is, that's the funniest thing is Deacon with the widest smile in the Web3 just mentioned literally like 4 revolutions that thousands of people have been waiting 3 years for, and he mentions it in the most casual way, as if it's like, oh, not big a deal, just like 6 mega coordination problems that people have been like trying to get rid of for like ages. Thank you, man. So
well, we've got a long way to go, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
that's
still
true.
a lot of work to do, so that's why I
Keep
get
the eye
smile.
on the prize.
There's a lot of needs. Communities have a lot of needs.
So
I mean, I was already a fan of Pat. Yeah, I was already a fan of Pat because of Spendless, which I think is a super cool platform. And I've even sent like I have a new project that's going to come out. I just don't have any time to pursue, which is a crypto native queer space for people who live alternate lifestyles as a DAO, etc. And I created a Spendless program for it, but it's on a layer 2 that's currently not supported. But then I became a fan of the project, especially also because of the incredible design and the UI and the cuteness of Spendless is really great. But I was missing out on Superfluid, and I checked the website today, and once again, great design, things in motion, very human, interesting to see and touch and interact. How come? Why are you being so good at this while the rest of the space tends to fail? Who are you working with? Give me the phone number. I don't know. Tell us more about how these things came to be. Like, is there a sort of source of the excitement for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's these like, you'll have one experience where you're like, whoa, money can do this now or whatever, and then that snowballs into like, okay, let's build more and more and more. But what it goes back to is ETH Boston, I think. In 2019, end of 2019, ETH Boston, we had that hackathon, and then we worked on a project for RDAI. And so Francesco Renzi and Meow had built this protocol called RDAI, which allows you to separate the interest from the principal that after you've deposited into something like Compound. And once you're able to do that, then you can sort of send it to a separate account. And so we built like this really simple app for the hackathon. And Victor and I were separate, from the RDI team, and then slowly like kind of merged and started hanging out with them and sharing ideas and getting excited about all these things. And eventually joined the RDI team and have since kind of been taking the lead on some of those things, while Fran and Meow went off to build Superfluid. And left us with RDI because we're just trying to understand all this stuff, and they're like, oh well, we have all these bright ideas, we're gonna go. So but it's fine because they created Superfluid and using everything they learned in RDI, and then now they're pulling me again, going, hey, like come work for us, come hang out. And then it's like the same cycle over again, the same experience I had with RDI, with just being excited and seeing all the stuff happen, that I just jumped in. I was like, hell yeah, I want to be here. This is where some crazy stuff is going on. So that's kind of how I got involved with it all. And yeah, I mean, you just have those moments where you see something that was not possible before, and it's possible now. And to be on the cutting edge of like things like that, it's just like, that's why I jive with the name pi0nXrpat, because I'm like, I want to be on the frontier. I want to be breaking the barriers down of what's possible and what isn't. And so that's
I remember one of your first projects that was like when we were first building Pokemall and it wasn't working. We would point people. I didn't even realize that you had built that. I didn't know you at the time, but we would point people to just like go put in their contract address in this other app, and it'll build up the from the ABI. It'll build up the interface.
Oh, Instadap?
Huh?
Instadap?
Yeah. What is that? What it was called?
One-click DApp.
Yeah, one-click DApp. Right. Yeah, Instadap's a different thing. Yeah. So that I just realized you built that like 2 months ago when we were talking about something else. But it's interesting how over like several years, like things progress and the projects we work on change and become more mature and things like that.
I can totally relate to your experience there with Fran. Deacon does that to me all the time, where I'm like, like, oh man, this is so fucking cool, and let me make it better. Then like the next day he's like, oh, check this out, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, motherfucker, what? I'm like,
yeah, there's
this like big thing here, and now like there's this whole new dimension,
Right.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to evaluate now is like, we built Spendless on top of the RDI protocol, and now it's like, okay, how do we build it again on top of Superfluid? Yeah, exactly, and what that would look like. So
yeah, collaborative composability for the win.
yeah, I mean, is there something specific that I don't want to get too technical and nerdy, but
No, get technical and nerdy.
Well, if you don't, you're gonna deeply disappoint us. So you better get down and dirty nerdy with us, for fuck's sake, sir.
I mean, I remember Peter Pan telling me about RDI. I think it was at ETH Berlin 2019, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was when that was like first popping up. And Peter and I were just like riffing back and forth on all the possibilities that, well, like you said, like when you can do this with money, like, oh, well, that means we can do this and this and this and this, Yeah, that was awesome. I guess that's when you guys started, or like when you first kind of launched RDI, I think, right? ETH Berlin?
Yeah, if Fran was on, he could give a little more backstory there, but because I wasn't, I didn't join until like September, after ETH Berlin. I guess that was in the summer. ETH Berlin is in the summer.
Yeah, I think August. Oh, yeah, I have the proof back here. Yeah, August 23rd, August 25th. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to look back at my notes on all the dates. Like, we need historians to help us keep track of all this stuff, because there's like so many events happening like back to back. But yeah, so
show for it.
Yeah, exactly. but yeah, so for those, like, I'll start broad and then I'll get very specific. So RDI is a financial superpower, I think of, in that you can't, no matter how rich you are, there's no ability for you to separate your principal from your interest in the current, financial system. Like, there's just no way. It's always in the same pot. It's always in the same pool of money, in the same account. And so the ability to have it separated from the interest from the principal, meaning I put in $1,000 and I'm earning 10% interest. The ability to have that actually be separated is sort of the whole point of RDI. And so once you can separate it out, then that opens up the doors where you can say, okay, now what could I do with it, right? Can I pay somebody with it? Can I donate donate to a charity with it? Can I split it up? Maybe some of it does come back to me and the rest of it goes somewhere else. And so that's what RDI allows you to do. And then on the smart contract level, for all the Solidity nerds out there, what we're doing is we're taking DAI, we're buying C DAI with it. So that's the compound wrapped DAI asset that appreciates in value over time. And then we create a loan. So we actually give the C DAI, and we, in the internal accounting system, we give the C DAI to the person you're trying to give the interest to, but that's really a loan. And so they owe back the sender the original amount of C DAI, or the original value of that C DAI. So that's I'm basically giving you, Ven, I'm giving you all my C DAI, but you, whenever you want to cash out, you have to give me back, my original principal, my original 1,000 DAI worth of that C DAI, and you get to keep the rest of it. And so that's like the under the hood accounting trick that we're using to separate the principal from the interest.
That's really cool. And so that is now kind of the back end of Spendless, right?
So a lot of this like weird accounting tricks and keeping track of balances and loans and all that sort of stuff, they're not directly taken over and brought into Spendless, but the lessons that we learned from that are being brought over, and to say like about how can a balance be more flexible? Like, how can we make a balance change over time, and these sort of things, and not just be like, you have this many tokens and this person has this many. Like, how can we change the relationships between balances the same way that RDI changes the relationship between me and Ven, and how the interest is distributed between the two of us?
And to be honest, I have no idea how you actually do that. How do you stream stuff?
Yeah, so streaming, there's kind of two main parts. The first is we're talking about timestamps. So if I set a flow rate to Ven and I'm streaming tokens, it's based on the timestamp that I started the stream, the flow rate of the stream, how many tokens per second, and then the time at which you're querying the balance, right? To say how much does Ven have and how much do I have, or at the time that we stop the stream, right? And so because blockchains, every block has a timestamp, anytime you click the button to read balance of, right, it just can say, okay, well, it was started at this time, here's the flow rate, here's the time now, let's calculate what the balance is. And so in that way, you can have a constant flow between the two of us without needing a transaction every single block, because we don't need to actually
you have a claim event when you want to kind of make it solid for whatever reason.
You don't need to, right? You can kind of just leave it running. But if you were to want to open up a stream now to somebody else, or to do just a regular ERC20 transfer, then that flow gets sort of, like you're saying, claimed or written right into on chain to say, okay, here's what was actually given to this person, here's how much was streamed, and so here's how much they can actually do with that now, or like
But if I'm going to give you X for a year or something, does the full amount gets locked in the sender side, or
No, and that's the second piece, is that like,
how do we avoid the
okay,
double spend there? Or...
Exactly. So the second piece is that the protocol itself has what are called agents, which take care of what you're talking about. Where if you start streaming and then you start with 10, like I could start a stream to you for $1 million a year and only have 100 DAI in my wallet when I started it, but I got to make sure that before I run out of those 100 DAI, that I either top up with more DAI in my wallet, or that I get an incoming stream, right, that's higher or the same value of what I'm streaming you, so that it never gets to zero. Because when it gets to
Or
zero,
faster.
that's or more, right? Hopefully I'm getting paid $1 million a year. And so I've got to make sure I don't hit zero, because when I hit zero, there is a closing event that occurs from agents, which are just, you can think of like the miners, of Superfluid, that are watching and closing streams and saying, hey, this person ran out of balance. We need to shut this off. We need to stop it. And when that occurs, they get a little piece of the deposit, which is like 4 hours, I think, worth of your stream. It's a very small amount. So I open a stream to you for $1 million DAI a year. I only need 100 DAI in my wallet until that runs out, and one of us closes it, or I get closed by an agent. So.
Mm-hmm. And this is all actually running. Sorry.
Yep, yeah, exactly. And right now it's just us running it, because it's very new, and we're still building the technology. We're still building it. Well, yeah, but it'll eventually be open to other people to run. And it's not something that is it's in our documentation, but it's not. We're still building it. Like, we're still trying to figure out how this relationship would work between agents and these liquidator people.
Yeah,
that's cool. So what did the agent get some kind of reward or something?
Yeah, so earlier they closed
of the stream.
Yeah, so it's about 4 hours worth of the stream, and that gives them enough time to realize what's happening and close it, and then they get the rewards based on how quickly they do it, right? So if they wait to the last minute, they only get 1 minute of the reward of the deposit. So.
Oh, nice.
So once you have 4 hours left on your stream, it sort of becomes vulnerable. It becomes closable.
Yeah, it becomes closable by external party. Yep.
By the agents. Yeah. Can I sell my stream to somebody? Like, is that represented as something else, as an asset? Like, how does that get going?
Yeah, that's actually cool, because there's a project now called Drip, and they're doing affiliate marketing and like referrals using Superfluid. And so when I refer somebody to a product and they make a payment to buy that, it actually goes to a smart contract, which splits the payments between the referrer and the company.
In two streams?
In 2 streams, exactly. So the referrer can get, say, 10% of the incoming funds, and then the actual company can make the rest of the 90%. But what's cool is that the referrer, the money actually goes to an NFT, and so they have the ability to sell that as sort of like a future income asset, which is kind of crazy to think about.
That is really crazy. Yeah, that's super cool.
No, that's the whole point of the thing.
Yeah,
it's the fourth dimensional money. But the idea being, like, okay, so you are not actually dealing with the let's say the contention side of it. If I promise you $1 million a year, we have a contract providing services, et cetera, and then you fail to pay, that's a whole can of worms that Superfluid is not dealing with, right?
It's not. The protocol itself doesn't work with that, but the way that you can build your contracts and your super apps, like as we call them, you can have things triggered in reaction to me stopping paying you or something. You can have
Mhm.
stuff automatically triggered in what's called
So it can't trigger.
callbacks.
It can trigger sort of a fine. Okay. Also, why don't you call them fluid apps instead of super apps? Super apps. Fluid apps is easy to say. It's kind of fluid.
Fluid apps, yeah. Well, we're going. Everything's super. Everything's superpowers, and
I guess I'm spending too much time with Deacon and Van and like getting laid back and stuff.
yeah. We'll just call them chill apps. Just chill apps.
Chill out. Okay, I can't believe nobody took that name yet. Please do something with this. Just rename DAOhaus, Deacon. It's not DAOhaus, it's Chill Apps now.
Oh, the chill apps. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
this
could
is
see some other
very-
use cases with that splitting of the streams, and then I didn't even think about it, but that thing you mentioned about like triggering, like if someone doesn't fulfill, triggering some other event like a slashing or something,
Dispute resolution. Even,
like that could work into an escrow kind of thing, like what Spencer was working on in Raid Guild. There's a lot of cool things, like even with engaging Raid Guild, where Raid Guild takes spoils from any project, that could split a stream there, maybe.
Oh, that's a really good. That's immediately actionable.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You can set all these things entirely into the future with the Gnosis conditional tokens framework, and all like this. It's really just the beginning of how crazy this shit is gonna get, isn't it? When I sit by myself in my room, which happens like once every 5 days, I guess. It just really hits me like a fucking rock, right? One thing you could do, for example, is to get a bunny, put it under a blade, put the blade in an oracle, tell the world, put it on a stream, and tell the world, hey, if this stream is not receiving $5 per minute, this bunny is gonna die.
Oh my god, dude! Did you just take it there?
I mean, it's use case, Yeah.
That's the Black Mirror use case.
The blood of Moloch is strong in this one. Yeah.
It's the Black Mirror use case. But then the thing is, if like you can just have like a loop of the bunny, and then if the bunny does get killed, like one the bunny doesn't have to exist. Second, even if it does and it does get killed because people suck, you just pretend it wasn't killed, have the lunch, and then like replace the bunny instead of. Look, that's what I call passive income. I don't know what your life is, but...
Well, I was going to say, one of the things, the first thing we did after we launched, or after the contracts were deployed on XNet, was we created an infinite money loop where everyone on the team just sent the same rate to each other. So we just have this infinite money loop going now forever, where we're just always making money and losing money at the same rate.
Interesting.
The Monoboros.
There is we did an experiment once in Raid Guild called the Money Circle, and or Roscoe, I think they're called. I wonder if something like that would work, where it's basically like one person gets the lump sum of the funds once a month. Like if you did it 10 people, and so every month one person would get the total amount of funds, but you're paying into it the entire time as well. So that what that creates is like either a forced savings account for the person on the end, and like an instant loan on the person at the beginning.
I think that's going to be my next tutorial that I write, because that's an excellent idea.
Dude, I want to do it too. If you do, that'd be cool. I mean, especially like we even talked about that in UberHaus. It's a way to like build trust between all the DAO, because UberHaus is a DAO of DAOs, to build credit and trust between all of them, and also for the smaller DAOs, it'd be like a way for them to get like an instant loan to be able to inject some capital into their project, into their DAO. So I don't know, that could be something kind of cool.
What, Roscoe? Is it called a Roscoe?
Yeah, I think it's
money.
Let me double check.
Yeah, those like lendings and saving circles are really interesting. I mean, that was one of the use cases like since 2017 that people have been championing as like blockchain's gonna save the world because we have these like micro lending like platforms, and I don't think we've seen one in the wild yet, but it could be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the DAO boost is already live and working and kicking. The Minion boost.
I don't know if it's
It's in like a final review process right now, I think. So we're just it's pretty close. A little code refactor, making sure that the contracts are cool with the Superfluid team, things like that.
Because I'm just waiting on that to start my most exciting gig in history. So you guys better get that.
Yeah, we heard about it. The one with the bunny.
Together. No, not the bunny. That's the second most exciting. Uber House is actually cooler than that bunnies. We should make a shirt. Uber House, cooler than that bunnies.
I am in the Figma right now. I could
whip it up. Penguin is in the call. He can just put it in the template, and we'll have it in the Meta Factory shop in a matter of hours. Faster than a bunny can create another bunny.
Such is the speed of decentralization.
Yeah, I think it can be done using a virtual bunny, and it would still have the same impact. Like people would still feel attachment to this virtual bunny.
No, nobody would give a shit about the virtual bunny. But if you kill an Avigochi, then you're gonna get like, yeah.
That's a great idea.
That's great. Like if you don't send me money, I'm gonna burn this.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, that doesn't work. People are gonna be so happy to see me burn Avigochi.
Okay. A Gen 0 CryptoKitty.
Ooh.
Don't we want all of those to die? Isn't that the whole shtick? Isn't that why we built a Defiant to complain and kill CryptoKitties?
I still got a couple I could throw in the. Wait.
Sorry guys, if the joke ratio to like the signal noise to content gets too high, just DM me or something. It's gonna be fine. What else? Okay, pi0nXrpat, Patrick, my dear friend that I just met. What's next? We're probably bored with the Superfluid stuff already. You need to innovate, right? So what are you looking at next?
I mean, for me, I'm not bored with it. I'm always thinking about how do we, bring it to normal people, which is like cliche at this point. We've been talking about that so much, but that's always on the, the front of my mind. And like, we have a bounty right now in the Scaling Ethereum hackathon that's literally called "Explain It to Boomers," because we want somebody to build something or make a presentation or something that's like, how do we, explain this to boomers, to your parents?
Oh man, I'm actually interested on that. Can you send me the link to the bounty?
Yeah.
I have a whole team that is basically designed for explaining shit to boomers.
Okay.
But it's better when you say it like that, because you said like, how do we bring this to normal people? It's like, yeah, I've been trying to bring things to normal people, but I looked around and I haven't met anybody normal yet, so I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah, and to be fair, like there's always the new generation, right? That's learning this stuff, and I always think of it as like they had to learn how to use a checking, or like we had to learn how to use a checkbook, a bank account, and do all this stuff, and they're gonna have to learn something too. It might as well just be crypto, and so some days I'm like really heavy on the UX, UI, and like, okay, but does this make sense for like, somebody who has a bank account? But then other days I'm like, let's just build cool stuff and like, people will figure it out.
Well, I have to confess that in my opinion, we've surpassed the legacy systems in terms of quality of UX in the last year or so. Like whenever I have to interact with like normal institutions, like I got a new credit card, one of those fancy ones that has all the benefits and stuff. The process of activating those benefits was pretty much suicidal. Like it's
yeah, I mean, it's really true. We talk about like how the UX is lacking in Web3, but really when you compare it to like what we're used to dealing with and what we've been trained to be like, oh, this is normal, it's really not that bad. I mean, like other things with credit
especially the
cards.
things you build, bro. Like it's good, you know.
Yeah,
It's good.
and
I had a complete newcomer launch a DAO in less than 30 minutes. Like it literally, like it was really.
Yeah.
It's getting good. It's getting
Well, I
it's
think-
getting good without reservations, and this actually excites me a lot.
think-
I guess
That's why I wanna use your app to give pocket money to my niece. Actually, that's what the first use case that came into my mind. Like she lives in Brazil, she's stuck there. I'm trying to get her citizenship through, etc. I gave her in the middle of the bear. I gave her like fee money in Ethereum, and now she's like, "Holy shit! I have $300 for a 19-year-old Brazilian." It's like, wow, right? I'm gonna give it to a couple of normal people, and I hope that makes you smile. I don't know. I'll tell you the story.
Ice cream.
I think our biggest struggle is still like on and off ramps, but
Ben and Jerry's.
where we're going, we don't need on and off ramps.
Wait, who said Ben and Jerry's? Can we find a way to stream ice cream? I would. Sorry, somebody said just Ben and Jerry's. Somebody just opened their microphone and said Ben and Jerry's.
Sorry, I think it was Fran, and sorry if I squashed you there. Do you want to bring up Ben and Jerry's?
Yeah, I think the difference is though that like with the legacy stuff, we're forced to do it, and with crypto is an option, and so it has to be better, but it has to also be much better, because if you're forced to do traditional, finance and stuff, and it's like, yeah, I got to click through this, and I got to give them my social, and I got to give them my address, and I got to call somebody, and then they got to wait 3 days and get back to me, and then it's like you don't have a choice. It's just like, yeah, it sucks, but you got to do it. And then with crypto, it's like there's this other way, but and then I hit a couple road bumps, and I'm like, yeah, but like I don't need, I'll just go back to the crappy like way that I know is gonna, eventually work for me. So it's got to be enticing, and it's got to be smooth, and it's got to be sexy, and pull people into it.
Yeah, I think to your point about like the explain it to boomers bounty, like it's less user experience these days and more like value prop understanding, right? And like, because there are very different things that we even want to do with money as like crypto natives, right? Like we're thinking about like super weird shit that like a lot of people wouldn't even be thinking about. Like they're thinking about completely different value props, basically. So yeah, I think that's where the actual kind of like effort should be, I guess, is like actually like, understanding the value props that do apply to people that are in Web 2 or traditional finance, and then, making sure that our products, deliver that value, that 10x value, like you say, to them.
And when they do,
choice. Yeah.
And when they do, it's hard to get people to believe. Like I'm explaining to family and friends.
Yeah, they have to do it. Yeah.
I'm explaining to family and friends like in passive income strategies and stuff with crypto, and they're like, "This cannot be real. This can't exist, etc." So we got to a place. Did you ever try that? Sometimes do you walk outside of the crypto sphere and try to like test your because Ben is a design thinker. Pat is probably doing. I mean, you guys got like in your team or whatever. You guys gotta have some kind of design background. It's way too good. It didn't happen because you by accident, basically. Like I'm a designer. I know the amount of thought and sincere consideration and a sort of empathic exercise that it takes to build quality interfaces. And if anything, just because I'm interested in hearing about your process, that do you test it in the outside world? What is the process you guys have? And just saying in our side, and I guess Ven's plus one this for a traditional design process, the challenge of the crypto sphere is the like what I call crypto speed, like how fast you have to actually iterate and put things out, which doesn't fit comfortably with the testing cycles that we wish we could have, right? So I don't know if you want to take a section of the podcast to talk about that. Maybe that's not your area. And the thing is just I'm personally curious, and I have an unfair advantage as a host to ask whatever I want. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, who are you asking?
Pat. But I'll see you. I mean, you both of you are building some of the most exciting, usable things that, like as of late. So you consider yourself also interviewed every day.
I mean, I'm just in the like as far as like testing cycle, like I think we're just in test and prod zone, right? Like test mechanisms on real world use cases as early as possible and as soon as possible and as much as possible. Really just testing in prod is kind of like where we've had to like rely on. But yeah, what about you guys? How do you kind of like go through like testing new features and validating the value to users and things?
Yeah, I mean, I'll reiterate the like speed thing is that we started in September with Spendless, right? And it's gone almost a whole year now of development. And then we launched, not too long ago. So getting the early iteration out as soon as possible, having it be crappy and getting as much user feedback is the way to go. Like you just have to do it. You like start with the smallest value proposition, start with the smallest features, and target your come up with who you think your users are, and then just ask them, just go do the user testing with them. Take 20 minutes of their time, ask, if they'll identify themselves too, because they'll be like, hey, I love this, right? And then you find a couple of those, and then you find a couple of people who are like just kind of still figuring things out, and you set up 15 minutes to 20 minutes with them, and you have a call, and you just watch them go through the application. And just, I mean, that's pretty much it, because you'll discover so much. But the sooner you do that, the better. That's kind of what our philosophy and practice has been.
Yeah, totally. And to your question, Felipe, were you talking about like testing outside of the bubble, basically? Like, how do we?
Yeah, does anybody do that? I don't think any.
I do it all the time. I mean, in different ways. I mean, like even last night, I was, like trying to explain CryptoPunks, to one of my normie pals, and I was just like cruising the Largo Labs website, showing some, and he was totally getting it until he saw one that sold for like 4.2 thousand ETH, and he's like, how are people buying, so, but that's what I mean by like, there are these things that we recognize as normal now. Like to me, $100 million CryptoPunk makes perfect sense. It's like the OG rookie card of NFTs or whatever.
But for
like
4.3 sounds very meta factory. Like I wonder if it was a meta bot. 4.2, 420 is our thing. I wonder if it was somebody who bought the same.
And I think it had been bought right before that, like a few months before, for like 100 ETH. So that person made like 4,100 ETH in like 3 months with one NFT. And like those types of things are really impossible to explain to people.
I don't know if I get it either.
Right. Well, and that's a weird example, but my point is that there are things that's going to take somebody a long. Yeah, Deacon doesn't even understand it, for example. So, those are things that are too far away from how they interact with and how their friends interact and how they interact with each other. And so like for like Superfluid or DAOs or anything, I feel like, when we're like, testing with people, and like we have different use cases that we're kind of working on for like, more crypto natives, because we're so far ahead. But it's always going to be important for us to like, talk to people outside of the bubble and figure out where they find alignment. Because like basically the problem I run into every time is like, they get the purpose, like even in Superfluid, I'm sure it's like pretty easy to explain, I think, but like then they try to attach it to like a real world use case immediately, right? They're like, how can I how am I going to stream crypto to my wife or whatever? And it just kind of becomes like this problem of like, my wife doesn't want crypto, or or whatever. And it's like, and so then it really just gets to that problem. That's not really anything to do with our UX or our products or our use cases or anything. It's really just like people aren't familiar holding cryptocurrency yet. And that's like a really big barrier. They're like, oh, well, how do I do this thing in the real world? And the only reason
once you show them, in my experience, once you show them, they go like, that's just it. I think actually I'm getting more positive, because in the end of the day, it's just keeping a piece of paper from being destroyed or lost. That's the big challenge. Everything else is easy. By the way, if anybody's curious, 4.2 ETH, 4,200 ETH is $11 million. which is a cool profit for an NFT.
Yeah, hero. I mean, it was a dope one. I'll find it too. I think it was an alien punk, so like super rare too. I think it was like 9.
Who gives a shit about crypto? It's just a bunch of pixels, man. It's like super clumsy and stuff.
The NFT thing is a good example of like something that doesn't, like a normie wouldn't get right off the bat, and but somehow it's like it's the first thing to like go into the mainstream as NFTs, maybe because they're so visual, and maybe so crazy to like think of a digital file and ownership of it, but like trying to explain just that idea to people still is hard, like the whole, well, I can just screenshot my screen and now I own it, right? Kind of thing. But some people get it pretty, like I have some friends that are selling like prints on Etsy or something, or selling their digital art on Etsy for $1 a piece or something. They get it right away. But yeah, the majority of people, it's surprising how popular NFTs have gotten, because it is such an abstract idea, I think, compared to what people are used to.
Achievement, reputation, achievements, kind of things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the utility in an NFT is really pretty amazing, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really is just a record in a database, right? And you could put whatever other data you want on it. We've talked about it even in DAOhaus to use it as in our boost market, as like each boost is an NFT, and so a DAO would buy an NFT and that would be like their ownership of that feature.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what my head was racing with collectible. So I have this idea in my head for a while now. It's called Buy My Process, right? So actually, it's not about like a collection of NFTs, but I will put out a sketch. Like the hardest thing I have is like I'm actually an artist. It gets murkier and murkier, the memory of the that I used to be an artist, because now I'm a diplomat. But I want someday to paint again, right? And one day to do it would be to get people to buy the process. So I'm going to produce several NFTs of the stages of the work, and you're going to own all of them, and then only the yeah, and then the people who have bought into any of these process things, they have access to the final, because I'm trying to solve for production of physical goods like paintings and sculptures and things like this. So only the people who indeed participated in that get to take part of the final auction, which will probably reduce the final price of the piece, maybe not, but it creates a much more comfortable environment for the people to bid on it, and they can buy into several of my processes. They can have a friendly outcome resolution way to who decides who buys what or whatever. But it's a beautiful way for you to create as a creator, to create a direct relationship with collectors and stuff. And your thing, the Superfluid, just made me a lot more concrete about how this could work in a way that is real. So if you want to have like an art residency bounty for me to design this inside Superfluid, we could call it Art Fluid. I don't know, by process. I don't know. I gotta think of something. I think I'm available like from September on to think about. All right.
Yeah, I think
that's my
that
pitch.
would be
That's
great.
my pitch, Pat.
I mean, everybody wants to get paid doing what they love, right? And so having
Well, but
more
I
ideas like
I do get paid doing. It's just that I love too many things.
That's
Horrible.
interesting though, like think about programming design patterns or something. And so, right now someone would write a book to describe their. I mean, well now like, who was that? The group that came up with that initial set of like object-oriented design patterns. I can't remember, but so they sell this book over time, but really that information is totally public, like right away. But it's interesting to think about like owning an NFT when that person first released that content and just to flex, and that's one way to pay for something that eventually be to the public domain if they want it to or not, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
also call me a vanilla pleb, but I'm still like trying to solve for people owning things that they love and desire to keep owning, and not necessarily for just the flippability of it.
Just like me and my CryptoPunks, baby.
How many do you have? Can I show? I
Yeah.
want to show me your collections. I don't have any. Guys, we're getting at the top of the hour. We're the last 4 minutes. I'm starting to feel bad for hijacking the podcast to talk about art stuff. Pat, I did ask you a question. It was what's next, and we sort of just rolled over it. I think now in the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds, it's a good moment for us to go into that.
Yeah, I think that more DAO integrations is really what's next for Superfluid, because a DAO is just kind of like a company in the Web3 world, and we're like a DeFi Rails system, and so it just kind of makes sense that the two come together and continue innovating and continue making cool stuff.
Yeah, I want to figure out this money circle thing, and then also like a DAO like vacation fund or sick pay. Like be able to stream.
We did this for Portugal. We have a Gnosis safe that is the house funds, and I wanted to put it into Shogun, but nobody.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone will have a DAO. It doesn't need to be a company. It could be
It's just
your
a group of
flatmates,
people. Yeah.
and just streaming your rent to your crypto landlord.
Yeah, see, that's the problem right now. Like landlords just don't take the crypto, so we can't do it. Right? Like,
So
that's the
I
problem.
do Ven. If you move to Berlin and we can do a Superfluid.
Okay.
Oh, that would be dope.
I think
Actually, you should cut this from the final podcast.
I think DAO manage properties, like screw property management. Why don't we just manage our own that's the next that would be sweet.
We'll see stuff. It'll be amazing.
About 1 year ago, there was a project in France trying to do this.
Chateau d'Aith.
It could be. No, it was an international DAO for managing and buying properties of several functions, from finding deals to executing on deals to doing the legal work. And the guy that was doing it, I don't remember, but he was super knowledgeable and he was super serious. But I don't think he pulled it through. But it's only a matter of time until somebody does. Like if Meta Factory exists, it's kind of the same.
I mean, yeah, I think like now we could probably do it, right? Like a few months ago, even that would have been like exponentially harder. But I think there's so much more validation, so much larger group of people who are down to accept crypto. It opens up a lot more things. Yeah.
And that makes everyone's life easier because then everyone's not having to off ramp and then pay. It's just like, let's just stay in crypto and just have like big, DAOs or, DAOs that want to do the effort, do the off ramping and figure it out. And we don't have to worry about all that stuff.
We need this parallel economy going. But so I guess we're out of time.
I mean, it's not like somebody's gonna shoot us in our heads because it's 8:59, but I think it's
The axe is gonna come down.
My stream,
we're all
stream
the
for me to be in this meeting is about over.
follow the
So I
white
gotta
rabbit.
go, guys.
Yeah. Pat, thanks for coming over. Thanks all the other party people for being here. That was it for tonight. Any final considerations coming from Megan, Ben, Pat, or anybody in the call? Shoot now or be silent forever.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Patrick. Yeah, thanks,
Thanks,
man. Yeah,
Protect
your
your
buddies
buddies.
can sleep in.
Crypto dead buddies. Yeah.
Here's
Good
my
night.
bunny.
Woo!
Yeah.